Well, good morning and welcome to Cup of Motivation with Monica. I'm your host, Monica Pierre. Thank you so much for joining us today. And a special hello to our producer, Paul Dolphin, who's with me. And I'll be doing a lot of the controls myself this morning. Today is Monday, May 14th. It is the day after Mother's Day. Welcome to all of you joining us from all parts of the globe, especially our friend in Barbados and also our friends on the north and the coast and also the west coast and east coast and all of you joining us around the world. We're happy that you could tune in. Well, today is the day after Mother's Day, and I was a little curious about where Mother's Day is celebrated. And it's celebrated in many, many countries. In fact, 140 countries around the world, so not just in the United States. And some of them actually do it the second Monday of May. And Mother's Day is always celebrated in the United States the second Monday in May. Many other nations do that, including just a few. I'm not going to go through the whole list here. Argentina, Australia, Hong Kong, Jamaica, South Africa, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe, just to name a few. Now, in the United Kingdom, the UK, Ireland, and Nigeria, for example, Mother's Day is also known as Mothering Sunday, and it's celebrated on the fourth Sunday of Lent, actually 3 weeks before Easter Sunday, so that day will also fluctuate. And in the Arab nations like Bahrain, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, also Kuwait, Lebanon, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, etc., just to name a few of them, Mother's Day is celebrated on the vernal equinox, which falls on March 21st. So that will always be on March 21st. So to all the moms out there, my mother, Janice Savoy Pierre, my beautiful mom, and also my beautiful mother-in-law, Sally Dolphin, happy belated Mother's Day to all of you. Well, last week I was in the grocery store around 6:15 in the morning, and those of you who know me, I am an early bird. I am one of those chipper birds early in the morning. In fact, no joke, my favorite hour in the morning is 3 a.m. It has a different feel. I know many of you are sleeping, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but 3 o'clock in the morning just is so spiritual to me. And the reason I get up early and have gotten up early over the years is because I've done early morning radio. So you have to get up, be up, drive over there and be on the air for 5 in the morning. So you have to start your day early. So I've tended to really like and enjoy that time of day. It's very peaceful. Trust me, no one's calling you. No one's emailing you other than if you get those regular blasts like from the news sources or your network news. That's the only thing you're going to get, or some spam. But I got rid of my spam. So I love that time in the morning. So to be at a grocery store at 6:15 in the morning is not unusual. Just finding a place open at 6:15 in the morning. And I'm at the grocery store last week, and a very pleasant voice says to me, "Good morning." And, it struck me because, again, it's very quiet at 6:15. People are just starting to get around and about. Kids are getting ready to go to school. And a few people are in the grocery store because they need something for the start of the new day. And I started thinking, this worker is absolutely right, that this is a good morning. So I say, good morning. And I started thinking about, for many of us, we get to choose whether or not it's a good morning or a so-so morning or a terrible morning or don't talk to me until I have my coffee kind of morning. It's really up to us. So you may have walked the floor last night, tossed and turned. You've been concerned about the viability of your dreams or your business or what it is that you want to pursue. You may have clenched your jaw in disappointment when you check your bank account and it's down to hardly anything and you're really worried about that. You may have had, quote, a really, really tough night last night thinking about what are you going to do about this dream, this desire, this passion that seemingly is frustrating you more than manifesting itself. So you may have been tossing and turning, but it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new morning. We get to decide. So are you going to have a good morning or just a morning? Make the decision. And here's one other thing. Remind everyone that you meet along your way today, whether it's virtually or it's in person, that today is indeed a good morning. Before we get into our topic today, and I'm really excited about our topic because it deals with our seasons, the 4 seasons. And it's so amazing to me that I talk about seasons and crops because, and I'll get into it a little bit later, I used to grow up, digging sweet potatoes and I used to hate it. So I'll talk to you about that. But we're going to talk about the various seasons of our dreams. And if you can recognize where you are, thank you, Paul, our producer, where you are with your dreams. Are you in the summer, the fall, the winter, or the spring? And have you been in that particular season for a while? So we'll talk about that. But we start off every show with a few things that have caught our eye. So a couple of things caught my eye over the weekend. And let's see, I'm actually doing the producing as well. So what caught our eye? Interestingly enough, Serena Williams, she caught my eye. The tennis phenom, the tennis star. She's a fashion designer, sometimes actress, and she has decided to step into the recording booth. She's going to record and has recorded a rap song. She's working on her album or CD, whatever you call it nowadays, and she really wants to do that. Now, she really ventures into a lot of things. She admits that she, quote, doesn't love tennis. So she's always stretching her wings. She's always going into other territory, whether it's fashion. She's also joined Sleep Sheets, a company that offers sleep aids. So now she wants to do music. One of the rap songs is called From My View, and she talks about it. And I've listened to it, and it's interesting, interesting lyrics. So TMZ, they have a copy of it. So if you are so inclined to and want to hear what she sounds like, feel free. It sounds okay to me, but what do I know? So that's Serena. Serena caught my eye. Also catching my eye is Stedman Graham. Yes, Stedman Graham. He's written 9 books. Now he has a 10th book that's coming out that's already out on the shelves. I was at the bookstore, Barnes & Noble. No plug in particular. I just like going there. And his latest book is entitled Identity, Your Passport to Success. And as I was looking at the book, I thought it was interesting because he talks about identity and how it is empowering and how we must determine how we identify ourselves. And he talks about how for so long he identified himself purely by race and the limitations that he placed on his own mind about that. Oftentimes people have put him in the relationship box. Stedman Graham, this is the guy who has been dating and has been the partner of Oprah Winfrey for many, many years. Several years ago, they were going to get married, but they decided not to. So people always refer to him as Oprah's partner. But he has his own things going on. So in this book, he talks about the process of success. And for some reason, the word process really jumped out at me this time. So I'm reading his book. And I plan on future shows to actually talk about his book and how we get to identify ourselves, how we get to choose that. We don't have to be limited in any way. But what I love about it is that he says we have to figure out what we love, what we do because of love. And everything we do manifests that. So we'll be talking about that in future shows. So it's called Identity, Passport to Success. So I like that as well. So today we're going to talk about a topic that I like, and it's the seasons of our dreams. The seasons of our dreams. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you've got to do is call. And I promise not to continue singing throughout this part, but we all have our season songs, seasons change, all these great songs about the seasons. So let's talk about seasons. What is your favorite season, whether it's summer or spring or winter or fall? Which season do you identify with? Many people like the fall. Many people like the spring. Some like the summer. There are a few people like the Monicas who like the 3 a.m.s, really love winter. And they all have their place. All of the seasons are there for a reason. And whether you're looking at growing something, harvesting a fruit or a crop, or actually working on your dreams, it all really follows something that's very important, and that is a process. Stedman Graham talks about that, the process. Some of his earlier books, in fact, his first book dealt with the 9 steps to the fulfilling your dreams, having that process. So let's talk about our our fall season. So is it spring for you? Is it summer for you? Is it winter for you? Why will a particular season resonate with you? Do you like the promise of spring? Do you like the growth of summer, the harvest of the fall, or the break or rest of the winter? Promise of the spring, growth of summer, harvest of the fall. You've been working on this thing. It really makes your heart happy and your heart sing. You want to start to see the actual fruit of that, the harvest of that. So many of us like the harvest, though. If you look at the book of Ecclesiastes, it's very clear that we learn that to everything there is a season. And I grew up as a sharecropper. My family, we were sharecroppers in Southwest Louisiana, and we worked the fields and were very connected to the land. And so we had to know that there was a season for everything. There was a time to plant, there was a time to prepare, there was a time to wait, and there was a time to harvest. So think of your dreams and whatever you're going through right now as a season. And all of the seasons are important. You just can't have the harvest. You just can't have the spring. You have to wait. And even when things look dormant, things are actually happening. So let's look at these seasons. We all want to get to the harvest, right? Who doesn't? I don't know any person who doesn't. But the truth is, we have to look at that word again, process. What is the process to get us there? The only way we can get to the harvest is if we do certain things in other seasons. So you may be in the spring of your dream. You may be in the winter of your dream or the summer of your dream. Some of you out there watching this live motivational webcast may actually be in the harvest, but even the harvest, there are things that you have to do. It's not a time of rest. So let's talk about that. So there are no shortcuts whatsoever to get to the harvest if we do not prepare the ground, if we do not plant the seed or the vine, if we do not hang on during the growing season or get rid of the weeds or pests of adversity that threaten to eat our dream alive, we won't even get to the harvest. So there are things that we need to do. So let's take a look at the seasons of our dreams. Figure out where you are as you listen to this and watch this webcast. Are you in the May? So it's May here in the Northern Hemisphere. So we're spring. So what do we do? So it's so amazing to me for someone who actually didn't care. Well, I used to say hated, didn't love at all being a sharecropper's daughter. I didn't like the work was hard. It was all year after year. You always had something to do. But for me to go from really not liking it at all, looking and dreaming over the worn out fences for something else, that it's amazing to me that this is absolutely what I know about, and I can use it in my presentation, my talks, my one-woman show. I talk about planting your dreams, the seeds of it, dealing with pulling up the weeds, talk about adversity all the time. So it's truly amazing to me. So in nature, winter and springs are a time of preparation, getting ready, sowing seeds. So doing winter, there's a very important role of the winter. So let's start there. The ground freezes. Some areas have snow. We don't really have much snow here in New Orleans. I can tell you the last time it snowed and how much snow we had. But the ground gets cold. And so sometimes we think that this is a waste time, W-A-S-T-E, that nothing is happening and everything appears dead. But you know what? Even though we can't see it with our human eye or our naked eye, there are things that are going on during the winter time. During the winter time, it is when the ground gets cold or freezes and it kills off anything that could be harmful to future crops. So during this period that you think that nothing is happening, there's something going on beneath the frost, beneath the freeze. It's killing off anything that could threaten future crops. It doesn't look like anything is happening, but the soil is being replenished and getting ready for spring. So there's a lull. We think that this is a very difficult period for us because we think nothing is going on. We did everything we need to do. There's a standstill. Nobody's calling us. Nobody's helping us. Nobody's working with us on this. We're very frustrated because of the stillness, because that it just seems that we want to do things. We want to go out there and get stuff done, but nothing's happening. So we get very, very frustrated. We sometimes feel out of control. We get resentful because we want to step out and start pulling stuff off the vine. We want to start planting something. But if you do it, if you plant too early, what happens? It dies. It freezes. It doesn't get a chance to grow. So the winter of our dreams is a very important time, because even though we want to fight the resistance, we want to fight going out there and just start doing things, we have to stay focused. We have to stay committed. We have to stay sometimes still and not keep moving and moving and moving with no purpose. We have to learn that this is a very important time and not to be fooled by it. We have to safeguard our thoughts and use our time wisely. We have to learn more about our industry or our heart's desire. We can use this time to prepare, to read, to get ready mentally. Even though we're not out there fixing stuff and doing stuff, we have to stay connected and stay connected to a very positive environment and positive people. We have to reconnect to the why of our dream. Why is this important, even in what seems to be the dry period, the dry spell, the dry season, the winter of our dream? Now is not the time to get overly anxious and start just forgetting everything and thinking that nothing has happened, and to really avoid trying to go out there during this winter season and start planning things just because you think you should be doing something. So that's the winter. Are you in the winter right now? Hopefully that you'll be able to calm your spirit down, calm yourself down, and not be overly anxious about it. Let's move into the spring. I like the spring. Do you like the spring? The spring is good. We get excited about our dreams. We start to really hear the birds now, and we start to see things turn a little green out there. We start to see a little bud here, a little bud there. We go, you know what? Hey, people are moving around. People are excited about getting healthy again, or coming out from hibernation and walking and running and jogging. So our dreams start to get excited too. We get excited about our dreams. It's a hopeful time, the spring. We get out there, we start preparing. It's a time of planting. It's a time of sowing. And before you start sowing and planting, especially if you are now in the spring of your dream, that you have to really also think about if you have prepared, if you have laid the groundwork. My dad, I just have these scenes of him when I was a young girl. He'd be on this, old beat up John Deere tractor. And every time he'd start it, the billowing black smoke and everything. But my father just couldn't start planting sweet potatoes. He had to get the ground ready, get the soil ready. That's very, very important. So we have to make sure that our soil has at the optimum growing environment. So we plant. So I always tell people that we had to plant sweet potatoes, and that it's amazing how with them there's a lot to do before you start getting to the vine. You got to get the rows ready. You got to make sure that it's fertilized right. There's a lot going on. So, you want to plant, we want to water, we want to feel like we're doing something. We like the business of spring, the busyness of it, I should say. We want to make sure that we do certain things. So we're on the phone, we're calling people, we're talking, we're connecting, we're networking, we're out there, we're speaking to our funders, we're writing 2 chapters of our book every night, we're doing something. We really apply for the position. We've completed the paperwork for our nonprofit. We're working and moving, and it feels good. We like the busyness of spring. So we've done what we needed to do. So let's move on to the summer of our dream and what that's like. Those of you who live in New Orleans know that it's very hot and humid in the summertime. It can zap your energy. It's humid out here. I love when tourists come. I can tell the folks who are not from here, they go like, oh my goodness gracious, how do you people deal with this humidity here? We tend to move a little slowly. It is hot here. Summers, it's a very interesting time with our dreams. The summer of our dream is interesting to me because when you think about it, how many times do we start out, or have you started out with a bang? Nothing can deter you. Nothing can defer you from this. You really want to make your dreams happen. But you reach a stage, you reach a period where you start to lose momentum. You start to, your breathing is a little bit labored. You know, you're not moving around as fast. You're not making as many phone calls. You're not writing 2 chapters. You're down to maybe a chapter. And then some days you don't really write anything. You're slowing down. You start off with a bang, but then you lose momentum. And sometimes this is a critical point because your passion, your dream, your goal, this vision that you have, what you said you proclaimed to the whole world that you wanted, is now starting to kind of slowly die on the vine. What is interesting about the summer season of our dream is that this is a time of testing. There will always be a summer season. Growing up, our main crop was sweet potatoes. And what's interesting about the sweet potatoes is that every spring, my father would get the soil ready, crank up that old beat-up John Deere tractor. We'd do all that we needed to do. We'd plant the vine. And that would happen in May, usually. Now, a sweet potato likes warm weather, it likes sandy soil, and has a long growing season. So you plant around May, and you don't harvest until October. Sometimes November. We do our part, yes. We'd plant, we'd weed, we'd fertilize, we'd wait, we'd watch. We hope it wouldn't rain too much. We hope it would rain enough. We'd watch, we'd hope, we'd wait and wait and wait. So too with the summer season of our dreams. There has to be this season of diligence. How diligent are you? How do you remain true to your dream during the test of the summer? It's not the time to lose hope. The challenge of the dreamer is that you don't know how long your growing season is going to be. There is no Poor Richard's Almanac, no Farmer's Almanac for if you want to be a writer, this is your growing season. If you want to have your own business, this is your growing season to get to the first million or the success of their business. There is nothing that says if you do this, and that by this time, whenever, it's going to happen. It could be a short growing period. Most of the times it's not. And I'm thinking about Oprah right now. Everyone is either concerned or a little giddy that her own network, the Oprah Winfrey Network, is not doing gangbusters. And I heard Stedman, who is her partner, I don't want to put you in a relationship box, but you are her partner, that is a fact. And when they said, but Oprah is struggling, she's on her own now with her own network and she's not doing well. And you know what Stedman said? He said, it's supposed to be hard. The first year, her last year of her show, she didn't devote a lot of time to the network. Now she's focusing. Now she has her voice, or she's working on it. It's not supposed to happen just like that. There's a growing season. And sometimes when we have been successful in other things, when we step out and do this dream or continue with this dream, we think that it has to be overnight because we have a good attitude, we have a good disposition, we're nice people. But it's not always supposed to be magic. So even though the articles are that, Oprah's network is bleeding money, bleeding millions, I think it's really where it's supposed to be. She needs to focus on it and that it won't happen overnight all the time. So this is a time of test. So don't give up. Just because the summer is hot and the summer appears long, we're going to continue on. So, and stop worrying about what other people think. Just go ahead and keep going and not give up. This is the critical time that needs to be a time of growth, and then it will be the harvest. So let's move into the harvest time. It's the fall. Yay! We made it. Whew. Can't wait to start putting our feet up and relaxing, right? No, this is not the time to relax. You have things to do. Guess what? Even though you've planted the peas and the peas have matured, peas do not pick themselves. Sweet potatoes do not magically dig themselves up and end up in a pie or a casserole. It's time to bring in the crops. So harvest time, I just remember these scenes so clearly. Daddy would be on his old tractor, Opening up the rows, you'd have these teeming, beautiful sweet potatoes. They're still kind of hooked to the vine. Somebody has to go down there on the dirt level and pull them up. So we had all sorts of jobs to do. It's harvest time, right? But you're not eating yet. So basically, you had to get in there. My daddy would open up the rows. We'd pull out the sweet potatoes. Some of us had to put them into different categories, depending on the size. Somebody would come behind with a crate and put them in the crates. Then daddy would come behind there with his tractor and his flatbed. Somebody would take the crates, put them on the flatbed, take them to the barn where they had to cure for about a couple of weeks to be really sweet. Then you brought it to the market. Then hopefully you had some money. So there are still things to do. So now is not the time to think that it's all over. And the hazard sometimes to the dreamer is that because you've worked so hard and now you're seeing the fruit of your labor, the fruit of the harvest, you thinking that it's all over, you can put your feet up, and this will last a lifetime. No. The cycle begins again. Whether you want to become a rapper like Serena, whether you want to do other things, your new season begins. I hope that you've heard something that will encourage you today. It's so important to understand and recognize the various seasons of your dreams. You know, you have to plant, get the soil ready. You have to wait. You have to deal with adversity. You have to work during the harvest. So there are things that need to go on. Before we leave, I want to remind you about one of my favorite places in New Orleans. If you're downtown or in the mid-city area, or if you are visiting, we have lots of folks who visit the area. You may want to check out Your Way Yogurt and Coffee Bar. The location is 3001 Tulane Avenue in the mid-city area. They have lots of great coffee and tea, lots of yummy yogurt with 30 different toppings. And they just started, Kalisha and Cleveland, the owners, serving lunch. So they have a lot of great, big, hearty sandwiches that you can have for lunch. So check them out, Your Way Yogurt and Coffee Bar. That's our show this morning. We hope that you have figured out what season you're in, and that as you go through the various seasons, that it really relieves some of the frustration, some of the anxiety, some of the angst, some of the resentment that you may feel because you think you should always be in the harvest time. That's not the case. Even in nature, we know you can't always have the harvest season. Winter is very important. That's when things are happening on the ground and really destroying anything that could really attack and damage your future crops. Spring is hopeful, but you know, you got things that you have to do. You just can't sit there and go, I really would love a nice dream realized. You have to get to work and do different things, and you have to go through the summer period. There has to be a growing season, a growing time. That's why we love for you to join us every Monday morning at our new time, 9 a.m. Central. We believe that it's so important that you start your week off on a positive note with a cup of motivation. Until next time, I'm Monica Pierre. Enjoy this week. Would love to hear from you. Send me an email or follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Bye-bye now.